Hey everybody, I'm that Stone Kid, the kid that brings you okay content sometimes. As you can tell, I'm dressed up as Harry Potter, because when this probably goes up, it's going to be Halloween. And today, I'm looking at the second Harry Potter book, even though this is goddamn Halloween, and I shouldn't be talking about Harry Potter. But, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I've read 4 of the books, and this one's my favorite. So, we already did the first one last week. We're going to talk about the second one today. And before we get into all me laughing, telling jokes, and talking about stupid crap nobody cares about, I'm going to make some dedications today. I dedicate this video to all of my fans who were so supportive about my hiatus. Well, not hiatus, it was me being lazy. But also, I dedicate this video to my sister, Katie Stone, because I would never gotten into these books without her. And also, I want to dedicate this video to Noah Taylor, and I wouldn't have gotten into these books if it wasn't for him and my sister. So, enough with that stuff. Let's move right along to the main event. And tonight I'm drinking Coke, regular bargain bin Coke. If you think this is better than Pepsi, you're damn right it does. So, little bit of story now. So this one was released a year after the first one came out, and you can really tell J.K. Rowling has grown as a writer in that time. Like, I like this one a lot better. So, I'm going to explain why. So, story. So, it starts out with Harry at Privet Drive, as it always does. As it always does. And all of his magic stuff from the previous year is locked into the cupboard under the stairs, so he can't get at it, because they don't know that underage wizards can't use magic outside of school or the wizarding world. So, yeah. So, Harry starts off the summer, as you normally do, has to put up with the abuse of aunt, uncle, and his fat-ass cousin Dudley. He's a real dud of a child. I'm bringing back that joke every time Dudley's name comes up, and call him a dud, because that's what he is, a bad bullet. So, it starts out as it normally does, but Uncle Vernon has people coming over from work, making the biggest sale of his life. So he has to make sure everything is perfect, and part of that being perfect is Harry not being there. And Aunt Petunia made a big cake, and they're all going to have it, and it's going to be fantastic. So, the whole game plan is that they're going to swoon them and kiss ass, and then Harry is just going to go up in his room and pretend like nothing's happening. As you do. That's like me when guests actually come over, but I'm not forced to go upstairs. I can come down whenever I want. So, moving right along. So Harry, and as he goes up, there's what looks like a hairless cat. Oh my god, what has gotten into his house? And this dear boy is Dobby the Elf, one of my favorite characters in the Harry Potter series. So he's here to tell Harry that he can't go back to school. He is not allowed to go back to school, and he will not let Harry go back to school. And Ron and Hermione haven't been sending any letters. Why? Because Dobby's been intercepting him. He makes him think that if his friends forgot about him, he won't want to go back to school, which is dead wrong. So, he tries all sorts of tactics by abusing himself just because that's what his masters are. So he's a house elf. Let's go back into that. So he's a house elf, and he's supposed to serve one family forever until that family's gone. So, it's a very good metaphor for slavery on how he really can't leave. They won't let him leave, and he has to punish himself and work in really bad working conditions just to please these awful people. This is what, like, a big change in the book series is. It's a darker tone. It talks about more like slavery and later on racism. Like, it grows as a story, and I'm really excited to talk more about it. So, moving on. So, Dobby thinks there's no other way Harry will not go back to school, so he thinks that if he makes Vernon and Petunia make him stay, he won't go back. So what he does is he goes downstairs, friggin' lifts up the cake with magic and snaps his fingers, and it falls all on the floor. And Harry follows him down. So Harry is automatically blamed for it. So Uncle Vernon, as the great uncle he is, he puts bars on his windows, thinking that's a great idea to put bars on his windows so he won't get out. But, something else happens. How did he get out of those windows? You can tell. So, one night he wakes up and Ron and his 2 brothers, Fred and George, are outside his window in what seems to be a car. And it is a car, but it's flying. It's a flying car. Look, I put that together, look at that! So, moving right along. So, they bust him out of his house, which, no one's very happy about in the family, and they bring him back to the Burrow, where the Weasley family lives. So, Ron's mother yells at him a lot, and So, as it goes, they go back to Diagon Alley to get all their school stuff, which means getting a whole new set of Defense Against the Dark Arts because there is a brand new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. And who was it? A famous Gilderoy Lockhart, that little cocky weed whacker, I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to say what I say the same thing about Draco Malfoy. I think I'd rather stick my whole face into a toaster than talk to Gilderoy Lockhart. So, they go to the bookstore where they have to buy the whole new sets of Gilderoy Lockhart's books. So he shows up to do a book signing, and as they're there, they meet Draco Malfoy and Draco Malfoy's father, Lucius Malfoy. And I didn't bring this up in the last episode, but Ron's family is extremely poor. But the Malfoy family is extremely rich. So they go. It's Harry, Ron, his two brothers, and his little sister, Ginny, who's starting her first year at Hogwarts, and their father, Arthur. So they go, and, Malfoy starts talking crap about everybody, and, Arthur thinks it's a great idea to pull out the hands, throw a couple of punches, like a good man would. But, after the fight, he reaches in to Ginny's cauldron, which is basically like a bag, and he pulls out the old book she has. She's buying a secondhand book. And as he does that, he slips another something else in it. You'll know what that is later on. Do you like that segue? So, after that, on the day they're supposed to go to King's Cross, which is the station that they have to go to get to platform 9 3/4, they all go through, and Ron and Harry are the ones to go last. So, they fully run into it, and they don't go through. And, thinking it would be the wrong pillar, like a normal human, and maybe we shouldn't be doing this, that we can just, go through a pillar, they have no way to get to Hogwarts. They have zero way to get to Hogwarts. So what they do is they decide to take Ron's flying car and fly to Hogwarts, which is, all well and good. But they make it there. Not without them crashing into a tree and Ron's wand fully snapping like a stale breadstick, or like my conscience after I have to put up with school for, another 9 months? You out of your mind? Moving on. So they get to school and they get reprimanded, and also they get a detention, which is really not that important because it's a detention. No one gives a crap about a detention. So school goes along normally, and Gilderoy Lockhart, as their new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, is the only teacher that changed. Professor Quirrell's not back, obviously, because he's dead, but Severus Snape is still the potions. Minerva McGonagall is still the Transfiguration, and they also have Professor Flitwick for charms. So nothing really changes except Lockhart. I'm going to be talking about Lockhart later. He's a pretty cool character. Not cool character, but we're going to be moving on. So, all classes go around as normal. Nothing bad really too happens, except when they have the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher with Gilderoy Lockhart. So what he opens a cage full of pixies, and he says, round them up. But when things go crazy, you'd think a normal teacher would round them up for them, because they want the students to be safe. So, what does he do? He runs in fear. That's a big red herring right there for what he actually is. He's some. So, yeah. And they have, first bits of this book are pretty uneventful. Except when they get petrified. Let me talk about that. So, one of the ghosts that lives in Hogwarts Castle, nearly Headless Nick, he invites Ron, Hermione, and Harry to his death day party. He's a ghost. So, they go, and they don't want to be there anymore because there's a bunch of ghosts talking among ghosts. I don't think you want to be talking to a bunch of ghosts on a Friday night. It's like me, on my Friday night, I'm talking to imaginary, no one's here. What am I doing with my life, dude? So, on the way back, they see Mr. Filch's cat, school janitor. Mr. Filch is the school janitor, and his cat, Mrs. Norris, hanging upside down from the ceiling with a note that said, "The chamber has been reopened." What's the chamber? Oh wait, the Chamber of Secrets? Name drop! Let's go! So, they find out that the cat's not dead. He's only petrified. Well, she. I don't know what the sex of the cat is. It's Mrs., but Filch is a crazy guy. So, it's only petrified. Therefore, they can't really do anything. Well, their herbology teacher, I forgot to mention her, Mrs. Sprout, she's got these things called mandrakes, and they can cure petrification, so it's really not that big a deal. So, they find out this chamber has been reopened, and things are getting petrified. And also, a big thing that happens next is at the next Quidditch game. So at the next Quidditch game, Harry's playing, and the bludger, which is the ball that tries to knock people off their broom, is always coming towards Harry. It's no one else, it's always coming towards Harry. So, he reaches his arm out to catch a snitch, and the ball comes and snaps his arm. Fully! That's gross, and that's why I'm not becoming a doctor. So, after that, he falls to the ground, and the bludger is stopped. But, Gilderoy Lockhart, thinking, man, I'm real smart, tries to fix it. And it goes his arm from this to a limp noodle. It's like overcooked spaghetti. It's just in the wind. So he has to go to the medical ward for the night to get it regrown by Skelegrow. Grow your bones. So, moving along. While he's sleeping, he finds that Dobby the Elf is standing over him, freaking shaking him awake. And he's like, Dobby, what are you doing? And he admits that he put a jinx on the bludgers so that it would only go after Harry, so they might get an injury enough for them to send him home, which doesn't work. And Harry has, like, an appropriate reaction, threatens to strangle him, as you do. So it goes back to normal. Harry's arm is, like, in place again. And so, moving along with the story, they have a dueling club. A dueling club is basically where they shoot spells at each other and hopefully no one dies. So the two people that up the dueling club is Severus Snape and Gilderoy Lockhart. I don't know why Gilderoy Lockhart did it, because he doesn't know magic. But Severus Snape does. So, as they're dueling, Snape and Gilderoy Lockhart bring up one person from each of their houses that they want. That Snape chose Malfoy, and Gilderoy chose Harry. So, they get up and duel and start throwing, like, I don't know, lightsabers at each other, but except one. Draco sends a snake out of his wand. I don't know how you can send organic material out of your wand. Don't ask me. That sounds like something really, really sexual, and I didn't mean it to. So, a snake comes out of the wand, and it goes to attack another kid, but Harry says some, like, evil, mythic language, and that stops the snake. It instantly stops it. He knows Parseltongue. He's a parcel man that no one else can do except people in Slytherin. And barely anybody else in Slytherin can speak Parseltongue. So this is a big deal, and that's why they all think Harry is the heir of Slytherin, even though it's not. So, to find out who's actually opening the chamber, they decide, let's go talk to Malfoy. But we can't really talk to Malfoy because he don't trust us. So what they do is they go to an abandoned bathroom. Very cool. They go to an abandoned bathroom and talk about what they're going to do. And Hermione brings a Polyjuice Potion. Polyjuice Potion can turn you into another person for up to an hour, a whole hour. But they don't know how to do it and they need the book to get it. But the book is in the restricted section of the library. And if they want to get something there, they have to get it signed out personally by a teacher. So they go to the dumbest teacher that they got, and we all know the answer, and I'm saying it anyway, Gilderoy Lockhart. They ask him to sign it, he doesn't even look at it and signs it. He just wants to be publicity, famous, whatever. So they get the book, and over the course of the next month, they get all the stuff that they need for Polyjuice Potion, except one thing. They want to turn into Malfoy's lackeys, Crabbe and Goyle. Well, Harry and Ron do. They're going to turn into Crabbe and Goyle. But they need a bit of their hair to get to them. So what they do, on the night, they plant sleep-induced cake right in front of where they know Crabbe and Goyle are going to be. So what they do, like fat asses, they eat it without thinking about it. They don't think, mystery cake, is this safe to eat? Oh, I don't think we should. But nope, they just take it, just ram it down their gobs. Oh, as you do. So they get knocked out, and Harry and Ron pluck hairs out of their heads and put it in their Polyjuice Potion. And, as it all turns out, they turn into Crabbe and Goyle. I don't know why you'd want to be them, but they do. So they go and question Malfoy for a little bit and find out that he's not the heir of Slytherin, which he's really, really jealous about. I don't know why you would be jealous about that. Well, he's in Slytherin and, he wants to be the heir of Slytherin because he's an asshole. So, we're just moving right along now, aren't we? Man, I'm really burning through this. And then more attacks happen on a boy named Colin. Colin, for Jill who's watching this, skip if you don't want to know what happens to Colin. So, Colin, he's always carrying around a camera. And one day, he's always got it up to his face, and he's always taking pictures for everything. It's said later in the book that he's always taking pictures of Harry, always taking pictures at Quidditch games, always taking pictures with his teacher, so he always has that camera around with him. And one day, he looks through the camera and sees something, and that petrifies him. So, two people, well, one's a cat, one's a dude, are both petrified. And then, what the hell am I saying? Ron's brother Percy, his girlfriend gets petrified. But, here's the thing. They never looked directly at the thing, so the thing didn't kill it. I'm playing the pronoun game right now. But one day, Hermione does. And how she does it is, she takes a mirror and starts rounding corners with it. And that's how she sees the thing, and she gets petrified. So, they think, yeah, the Chamber of Secrets have been opened. Let's do this. And they go visit Hermione, who is petrified, and they see something balled up in her hand. And they open it, and it's a piece of paper. That brings up the basilisk, basically a big-ass snake. I'd be a great National Geographic now. It's like, the big-ass snake comes in. Like, yeah, I would be great. So, they find out that its line of sight can kill you if you look at it directly. But, everyone didn't look at it directly. Colin saw it through his camera. And also, Mrs. Norris saw it through a puddle of water. And Penelope saw it through a mirror. And so did Hermione. So none of them died that way. They only got petrified from it. So they think, great. And before they go, they listen in onto a bunch of teachers going in a room. They bring and press their ears against the door, and they find out that they're going to send Lockhart down to see if they can get it. See if they can kill the thing. So he says, you know what? Yeah, I can. I'll do it tomorrow. Like I do, procrastinate with everything. But in between that span of time, they find out that Ginny, Ron's sister, has been brought down to the chamber by another message written in blood on the wall. So it really becomes an ambitious thing then. So they run to Lockhart's office where he's packing up his stuff like a total coward, and he isn't even man enough to admit what he's done. So they basically force Lockhart to go down to the chamber with him. And how they get into the chamber is, you know the abandoned bathroom I brought up earlier where they made the Polyjuice potion? The big thing of faucets. Harry spoke parcel tongue to it, and then they just go down it. It's like a big slide. Big coolie slide. And so we all know now that Gilderoy Lockhart is a total fraud. And the way he got his books was he went to the people who did these amazing things. Like, Gilderoy Lockhart was known for the guy who killed 80 snakes and a werewolf. But he didn't do any of those things. He just tracked down the people who did. And then he put a very strong memory charm on them so they wouldn't remember what they had done. So he basically takes credit for what they've done. So, and you know how I brought up Ron's broken wand? That is very important. That is very, very important. So, they go down to the chamber, and Gilderoy jumps on Ron just to knock him out of the way and steals his wand. And he brings up his whole plan that he's going to go down and he's basically just going to come back up and leave Harry and Ron there and put memory charms on them. So he tries to do that, but the spell, because of the broken wand, backfires onto Gilderoy Lockhart, which in turn wipes his memory. So he's basically a child and he's basically done throughout the whole mission. And as that happens, Ron and Harry are separated. So great. Harry gets to do all the work. Harry gets to do all the work. Fan-friggin-tastic. So they go down, and he sees Ginny's body. She's not quite sure if she's dead or just petrified. So he runs up to the body, and when he looks up, he sees a dude in front of him. And that, my friend, is Tom Marvolo Riddle. And remember how I brought up that Ginny got a book from Malfoy that she didn't even know she had? Well, that was Tom Marvolo Riddle's diary. And she's been writing in it, and it's been coming back to her, and therefore, he's been possessing Ginny to do all these terrible things. Well, basically open the chamber and do all that. So, Tom is responsible for all of this, and if you can't guess, Tom is Voldemort. Just to tell you, it's a younger version of Voldemort. Because Harry says his name, Tom Marvolo Riddle. And all the words friggin' rearranged that says, I am Lord Voldemort. So, yeah. And then, out of the great Chamber of Secrets comes out the Basilisk. And Harry thinks, you know what, I'm done, I had a good run. But Fawkes the Phoenix, that is Dumbledore's Phoenix, comes down and drops the sorting hat onto the floor. And Harry's thinking, why would you bring me this, Fawkes? Can you give me something like a gun? And so, he picks up the sorting hat, just for gags. And he finds a sword in it, a big-ass sword. So he thinks, this is better than nothing. Picks it up into a sword of Gryffindor that only true Gryffindors can wield. So, he gets it. And the snake, as he does that, pounces on him, which therefore Harry stabs through the roof of the mouth. So the snake is gone. The basilisk, dead, never to be heard from again. Just like my social status. So, moving on. So, Harry sees a journal, and he finds out that Tom tells him it only can be killed with basilisk fangs. Well, not really, he kind of hints at it. So, Harry takes one of the basilisk fangs and stabs right through it. And he, Tom explodes. It's weird. He implodes. And then Ginny at that time wakes back up. And at the end of the year, they all live happily ever after. Everybody who was petrified are unpetrified now. Everything's fine. So anyway, that's all I gotta say. I'm that Stone Kid. Thanks for watching, and have a happy Halloween. Let's go!